fam, it's another episode of your favorite Marriage Monday. Well, my favorite Mondays. I always say you need to set the tone for the week. And this is how you set the tone for your marriage for the week, by watching Marriage Monday with your spouse. Today's video, I just quickly want to speak on communication. I know we always speak on communication, right? Like communication, you need to communicate. You need to communicate. Our husbands are not mind readers. Our wives aren't mind readers. That's true. Your spouse is not a mind reader and you need to communicate. But have we ever spoken about how communication needs to be accompanied by comprehension? I don't think we preach that a lot. I think we speak so much about communication that we actually don't touch on the fact on how communication needs to be accompanied by comprehension, because sometimes you may be communicating something but your spouse doesn't hear anything you're saying, doesn't, like, it's flying right over him or it's flying right over her. And it's very important that we understand that when we communicate something, does your spouse understand what you're trying to say? Because at the end of the day, it's easy for your communication to be labeled as noise, as nagging. It literally can. All my wife does is nag, nag, nag. All my husband does is complain, complain, complain. But they're communicating. It's just that maybe you're not getting what they're trying to say to you. And we always need to remember that our perspectives will never be the same in how we put things. So how you probably see something, and your spouse sees it a different way. So it's always very important that when you guys are discussing something, a grievance or whatever happened at work or with your family, it's always important that you kind of get if your spouse gets what you're saying. If not, do not be afraid to ask us to say, babe, are you getting what I mean, or don't you? Or like, it's not condescending, it's not coming out, make sure it doesn't come out maliciously, but it's very important that they understand where you're coming from, and get your spouse's communication style, how they communicate, when they feel better communicating, because that's another thing. I think we choose the most odd times to communicate. You can't want to communicate something after a very long day and now you're in bed and you guys are about to sleep. Especially us women, we have a tendency, myself too, we have that tendency at 11 at night, 12 at night, and you want to ask, you know, babe, I didn't like this. I didn't like that you did this. I mean, he's not going to give you the best answer at that time, because firstly, that is not the right time to communicate your grievance. Firstly. Number two, he's not going to comprehend or understand anything you say. That's why I always say that it's good when you want to especially communicating a grievance. Tone, time, and place are very important as to when you bring them up, because anything that is not understood easily becomes labeled as noise. Muntu muza complain at yo, yes, my wife always complains, but when you listen to what your wife is talking about, it's actually valid. But maybe you're not just understanding what she's trying to put across to you and what she's trying to say to you. If we listened more, I think we tend to not listen in many a times when we're trying to have conversations, maybe that are rather very uncomfortable. We don't listen. We don't sit to actually listen to understand what our spouses are saying. Instead, we listen to defend. We listen to oppose. We listen to, you already have an answer calculated in your head, and this is why we don't even comprehend what our spouses are saying, because we're not listening to understand. We're not listening to check perspective or understand where your spouse is coming from. So I guess I just want to quickly drop that little nugget that it's very important that communication is accompanied by comprehension, and then we need to listen to understand, not to defend. And also, when we do communicate, we need to do it at the right time, right place, with a proper tone, so your spouse kind of gets what you're trying to put across, so it doesn't look like an attack, or it doesn't seem like you're trying to disqualify whatever they were putting across at whatever point of the day or the week or the month or so forth. So my little 2 cents, guys, is that remember that communication is accompanied by comprehension, and listening to understand what your spouse is saying is very important. And that always remember that perspectives are not the same. But at the end of the day, because we have a desired goal to fix this problem or to work this out or to make each other understand a certain something and have one desired goal, you guys will eventually get to that. So I'm going to keep this one very sweet and short. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on my YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at LadyLoveBag1, Married Girls Club on Instagram. And like, share, and subscribe. Send this to everybody. And yeah, man, don't forget this channel. I'm all about healthy, happy, successful marriages and relationships. See you guys next week, Monday.